2013. A year that I'll probably never forget. Now, I could go on and on about telling you, oh, this year was the best, or all these cliche things that everybody says, like, oh, it was the worst, I did this happen. It's not how it was. It wasn't the worst. There was horrible times. So I'm gonna start at the beginning of the year. Okay. So when I was in 7th grade. I was so excited, except for the fact that I had no friends. And I figured this is gonna be my year. I'm gonna do the best in school. I'm gonna just do everything perfectly, and I'm gonna get straight A's, and I'm gonna be popular because I just got my hair cut, and I thought I looked amazing, and everyone would want to be my friend, and everybody would forget all the stupid rumors that happened the year before. But no. And I thought it changed real quick. Sorry, my Skype. That all changed real quick. I had no idea what I was getting myself into. And I just thought, oh, things started going downhill really quick. I was in the same clan or team that all the people that used to make fun of me were in. And all the preppy girls who wore pink and they had their hair all perfect and it's like played sports, and I wasn't about that. And everyone was making fun of me. I actually found one time a razor blade in my locker. That said, "Here, you might as well use this." Something about being an emo fag. And I took that to heart. I threw it away and came home and found more. And I started self-harming. That was probably the worst thing I'd ever done. But I didn't feel like I could talk to anyone, or I had anything going for my life. That I should just end it. It's like my mind was telling me, there's no need for you to be here. You're not worth it. And everybody told me that, and I believed it. I tried multiple times, but it didn't work. And that's when I came up with a theory. If it doesn't work the first time, it's more than likely for a reason. And you need to be here. And I live by that. But it's not the point. So, I found out about, like, I've always had this thing for emo, I hate that word, like, emo style and gothic style. And I've just always loved it with the big, like, eccentric black makeup and the studs and just their hair and how awesome it looked. And I just always loved that since I was really little. And I just became obsessing over it, and then I found out all these people listen to this kind of music. And I looked up a few bands and I found Black Veil Brides. They changed my life, literally. I'm not going to say, oh, they saved my life, oh, they got me to stop self-harming. It wasn't as much of that as, because bands don't technically save you unless they physically come over, take the blade from your hand, or take the noose off your neck, or unload the gun, whatever you're doing. They don't do that. That's not how life goes. I wish it was, but it's not. But how do I start? I started listening to them, and right away I understood them. And I started obsessing over them, and I looked up every video. Because when I heard them, I thought that Andy was still like 16, because the first video I saw was Knives and Pens. And I thought he was still that old. And I'm like, oh my gosh, she's so young. And I want to be like that. And then I started looking him up, from knives and pens to when he broke his ribs. And I was just obsessing over it. And I loved it. But, and so then I started listening to more music. I'd already started getting friends because of them, and they started showing me bands, say, in like bands like Sleeping with Sirens and Pierce the Veil, and I loved it. Pierce the Veil pretty much showed me there is a way. You don't need to self harm. There's another way. And I loved that. I love that message. There is another way. And I found that through music. And see, and then I started getting into heavier stuff like Bring Me the Horizon and Asking Alexandria of Mice and Men. And you can disagree with me on this and say, "Oh, they're not heavy, they're not brutal." I don't care. I love it. And I started just obsessing over them. And then about mid-year, I found out my cousin was self-harming. It tore me because I know what she was going through, and I didn't want that for her. I know she had her own problems, but that wasn't how she should have dealt with them. My cousin's my life, honestly. I have nothing else in this world without her. But sorry, I look pathetic. But I found out she was self-harming, and I told her, just listen. Listen to this band. Listen to this song. You'll understand it. Just don't hurt yourself like this. And she did. And we became so much closer. We used to fight and argue, and I actually beat her face with an alarm clock because she threw my clothes off a balcony. I was that pissed. And she stopped for a while. Things got better for both of us, and we became really close. I really do look pathetic. And we got closer by music, and it brought us together. Nothing could tear us down. Neither one of us gave a fuck what anyone said. We were our own person, and we both stopped self-harming. And that brings me to my next point. So, I got a boyfriend later on in the year, after me and Destiny started getting along and we got the bands and all our in common stuff, and I started dating this guy. Worst decision of my life. So, the first time I really hung out with him, I kind of felt awkward just hanging out with a guy alone. So I invited my friend, and he invited his friend, who was a girl. So it was just 3 girls and him. And I was talking to him, we were cuddling and laying down in the grass. But what I mostly cared about was the 2 girls. They were so cool. Especially this one named Vanessa. And to this day, she's my best friend. She's so amazing. I just love her to death. We fight like sisters. But all in all, we're best friends. And he broke my heart. I couldn't stand it. But she showed me there's another way, honestly. Don't give in to that. I was being told worthless and that I should just start killing myself again. And I was like, that's not cool. And she told me, no, you are worth it. You have something to live for. Don't give in to that. And I listened. And that was probably the best thing I had ever done. And she showed me the way out, what music couldn't tell me. And she told me straight up when I was wrong. If there was this girl and I fell in love with her. Her name was Twyla, and I made a video about her before, a while ago. And I fell in love with this girl. Like, I wanted to be with her forever. And I know that's not. I know I don't know what I'm talking about because I'm not that old. But I swear that was what I was going to do with my life. And her and Vanessa were best friends. And she even told me straight up, this isn't good for you. This girl is going to hurt you. And I didn't believe her. I was too caught up in what I thought was right. And she showed me that it's not like that. You don't need to be obsessive over her. You're just throwing your life away. And I didn't listen. So, after a while of dating this girl, my grandparents found out. My grandparents are homophobic, and I have to live with them. Yeah, they found out, and I was forced to leave her. I hated that. I was getting depressed again. I started self-harming again. No music could help. I didn't know what to do. I thought that she was all I needed in my life. And that she was the reason that I had to live. And I started self-harming even more because I knew I couldn't have her again. But we started talking once again. And we ended up dating, and then my grandparents found out about that and wouldn't let us hang out. And I freaked out. I was pissing and moaning and trying to get a way to see her. I only hung out with this girl like 2 or 3 times in person, and it killed me because I wanted to see her all the time because I know what she'd been through. And she was self-harming, and I loved her to pieces, and I just couldn't deal with life without her, or so I thought. And she ended up hurting me again, or we ended up breaking up, and then we got back together, and then, honestly, this is gonna sound stupid, but we actually got engaged. Yeah, sounds freaking stupid. And then someone who was supposed to be my best friend got in the way, and luckily he did, because I realized that she's not worth my time. And I was so happy once I got rid of her. And then I started dating this other, a few months later. I was sick of her. I didn't want nothing to do with her. And I started dating this guy, who my cousin happens to be dating. But I'm not going to go into that. I fell in love with this kid. I forgot about Twyla. That wasn't real love. That was just pain. I thought it was love, but it wasn't. I thought that's what love was. And I started dating him, and he made me forget about every problem. He made me feel like the only girl in the world. But he was in love with my cousin. He told me he loved me 1,000,000 times, but my mind was saying, don't get close. You can't do it again. You're gonna get hurt. And that's how I grew up, being told, don't get your hopes up. Don't think that something's gonna turn out great because you're gonna get hurt by it. And I pretty much learned not to trust anyone, that there was no such thing as hope. And what happens, happens, and you can't do shit about it. And that killed me. But I got it into my head that that's the only way you can live life. Not thinking, not hoping. Because you only get hurt and brought down. That's how it still is today. And I would always push him away. I would start fights just to make sure that, I don't know how to explain it. Just seeing, because I wanted somebody who would when I push away, they'll catch me. When I'm on the edge of the cliff and I keep pushing and pushing, and I'm on the edge. Now I'm about to fall. They'll catch me and fall with me. And I wanted to be able to feel like I could trust again. Just to be able to know that I had someone, that I didn't have to rely on the blade and the music, that somebody would help me and love me for who I am, not try to change me. And that's what he did, but I started pushing and pushing and pushing, and he didn't like that. And we ended up breaking up. I was crushed. I was cutting again, and I just couldn't. And he started going out with my cousin, and that's what killed me the most. And I hated her, not because of anything personal. Just she talked to him, and he loved her, and they started dating. And I couldn't comprehend why anyone would do that. But shit, I stopped caring, but it hurt so bad. And they ended up breaking up, and me and him dated again. And that only lasted less than a week, because I kept pushing and pushing and pushing. And I told him, he started acting like a major douche to me, and I couldn't deal with that. I knew that's what it was gonna happen, but it was mostly my fault by telling everyone that he was the problem and it wasn't me, and that he hurt me, and that I never did anything. I played the victim for so long. That's how it's always been, and I don't try to. I really don't. But it just happens. Sorry, my nose is running. He hates me. And as much as I want him to tell me, you know what, I really regret that and I love you, and how much I want to tell him that, I know it's not going to change. I really do, and I know that it's not going to happen. But I'm okay with that, because I know that all this pain is going to make me stronger. And I'm gonna get through it, honestly. And even though there's a million reasons not to be here, there's 1,000,001 to be. I kind of got off topic. Hold on. So, back to the 2013 part. I went to my best friend Vanessa. It was her birthday, and I found out that Black Veil Brides was in my state, like 15 minutes from my house, in a Walmart, just getting like clothes. And I was crying because I couldn't go see them in Walmart, and because my grandmother was cleaning. And I was crying and I couldn't stop. And then my best friend posted, anyone want to go to the Black Veil Brides concert with me tonight? And I freaked out. I called her on Skype, and I ran upstairs, and she said, my Vanessa said I could go. And then I talked to my grandmother, and I begged her to let me go. I was like, please, I will do anything. I will clean the house for a week. And it happened, and I got to go. I got to see them, and that was the best feeling ever. I just didn't know that anything. Just knowing that they could see me and know I existed, and know that they've pretty much helped me through all of this. It made me so happy. Before the concert started, we were waiting in the auditorium, me and Vanessa, And Black Veil Brides was just about to go on. Stars in Stereo and Thrill the Fight already went on. And they were setting up the Black Veil Brides set. And I saw Cece. He was sitting behind the amps, and I could see him. And I was flipping out. And he turned around, and I yelled, "I love you, Cece." And no, everybody looked at me like I had four heads. Like nobody saw them. And he looked at me, and I threw my heart up, and he did it back, and I was crying, knowing that my saviors knew I was alive. And Andy and Ashley and Jinx and Jake, they all kept looking over at me from backstage. I was crying. I couldn't even deal with it. And I just didn't know what to do. I am shaking just talking about it. But and that was the best night of my life. Things turned around. I made all these amazing friends. I lost a few, but they showed their true colors and showed me they're not real friends. They're just worthless. Well, they're not worthless. I hate calling people worthless. They're just douchebags. And they just need to stay out of my life. And I'm fine with that. I have a few really good friends. And I have an amazing girlfriend. I haven't dated her for that long. I haven't been dating her for that long. But honestly, I do feel like there's a connection and it could be love. Every time I talk to her, I get these little butterflies. Or Pikachus, as I call them. And they're just running around. And just every time I see her name, makes me so happy. And she's probably going to be one of the best things that has ever happened to me. So that was my 2013 video. Sorry for looking pathetic and crying. So I love you guys. Stay safe and don't let anybody bring you down. And whoever does, tell them to fuck off because I love you. Mwah.